What did you make, I'm wondering, of Stormy Daniels last night? Do you believe she has any credibility?
I was completely underwhelmed. In fact, all the Trump haters were underwhelmed. What new did we learn? Look, you're an iconic news person. That was not anything, dramatic by any stretch of the imagination. We heard that she had an affair with Donald Trump. According to her own story, there was only one time they had sex. They were sitting on a couch. Another time, she meets some guy in a parking lot, threatens her. He's been saying it was Michael Cohen this entire time. That's a complete lie. It's an utter fiction, and that in and of itself is defamatory. To say that was Michael Cohen or someone sent by Michael Cohen. You know what the answer is? I know you're looking for the answer as to who sent that person. It's a figment of her imagination. That person doesn't exist. Because you know why? You know why? Because when you're threatened with your daughter in a parking garage, what's the first thing that you think of? I got to go to my Pilates class. That's the very first thing that I think of when someone comes up to me and threatens me with my daughter. Anyone who has a daughter knows you go right to the police. It's complete nonsense.
She said she didn't go to the police because she was scared, and she walked into the room.
That's why you go to the police.
To the notion that he's saying that it's defamatory.
File a lawsuit. Look, the majority of Americans,
you got the letter yesterday.
So wait a minute. Last time, you didn't let me talk. This time,
I'm letting you talk.
No, this time you are going to let me talk. Otherwise, we're going to have to get the defibrillator out for you, and I'm concerned about it. So let me talk
for it. Go for it.
All right, I almost brought it. I almost brought it today. I almost brought the defibrillator.
Please go for it.
All right, look, the American people saw last night something that they haven't seen from Michael Cohen. They actually saw my client answer questions by a world-renowned journalist who asked tough questions. She sat in an interview for 2 hours or thereabouts, and she faced the tough questions, and she answered them. And the American people saw those answers, saw how she answered the questions, and I think 90% of America.
90%. Everyone's scratching their heads. What was that interview?
Wait a minute. Let me finish.
Are you saying that it was Michael Cohen who was in Las Vegas by the Pilates place? Are you saying it was him personally?
Of course it wasn't Michael Cohen.
Well, you said that all along. You've been saying that.
I didn't think you'd say that.
By the way, you've been showing us CD.
You know what? There's a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
What about your fake lie detector test? What about your phony lie detector test? Where was the galvanic skin responses? Where was the armband?
I got to be able to.
You're not saying it was Michael Cohen, because what Stormy Daniels has said, she could clearly identify that person. She has never said it was Michael Cohen. But you believe?
No, we have never said that it is Michael Cohen. But look.
You've been saying that all along.
Wait, come on, let him finish.
All right, look. It's very simple. My client sat down. She answered the questions. 90% of America found her credible. Why hasn't Michael Cohen sat down, forget 2 hours, I'll take 20 minutes, how about 10 minutes, and answered the questions? Instead, he sends you, you're not even involved in the case. Are you ever going to make an appearance in the case?
I am never making an appearance in that case.
So you're just here as a talking head.
I am his attorney.
You're a talking head.
I am his attorney. Of course, that's what we're here for.
No, we're here to get answers.
You don't have to be admitted in the state of California.
No, we're here to get answers.
Let him answer.
We're here. First of all, Michael Cohen just wants you to keep running your mouth and your client running, because every time you do that, it's going to cost your client another $1 million. I mean, I hope you have a nice malpractice policy, because you're advising your client to breach a contract.
During one of the things that certainly Stormy Daniels feels, and Michael Avenatti has said, is that the kind of threats that Michael Cohen is making about taking a long vacation on her dime, this $20 million figure, which, as you pointed out the last time you were on, you don't really know where that comes from. No, I can't figure out what the $20 million, what it's really based on. Is that the normal kind of behavior of an attorney in a lawsuit? I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
It's 20 different violations. But the bottom line is, I don't know where you think a threat is from here. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. That's not a threat. I hate to tell you. Okay, when an attorney talks to another attorney about a damages clause in a contract, and 2 attorneys are speaking to each other, that's not a threat. That's just a legal discussion about a damages clause.
Has Michael go ahead, Jeff.
One thing I've never understood is, there's a signature line on the contract for DD, which is Donald Trump's pseudonym. Why didn't he sign?
Okay, so the bottom line is you have a contract between ECLLC and Stormy Daniels. So at the time when this was all going on, he could, you know, there may have been a situation where Michael could have brought it to him to sign. Michael chose to just allow ECLLC to be the party. That's why we have the and/or. And by the way, I know you've made up your own laws in this case. Wait, let me just get to this. And/or, by the way, has the same meaning in New York as it does in Wyoming, as it does in California.
Okay,
because you tried to school me on the California law, I actually researched, and guess what? The United States Supreme Court and cases in California all agree that and/or is either or.
There's
That's what it is.
There's another provision in the contract, I believe it's section 8.6, which says the contract is not valid unless everybody signs. Doesn't that trump the and/or?
It's not valid unless the parties sign. The parties to the contract are ECLLC and Stormy Daniels. And
So why is there a line that says DD for Donald Trump?
Because it
for
gave,
no reason?
it gave the option for Donald Trump to be a party to the contract. Instead, he's not a party. He's a third-party beneficiary.
But couldn't he have, in terms of that third-party beneficiary, couldn't there have just been a contract between Stormy Daniels and the Limited Liability Corporation that benefited Mr. Trump?
And that's exactly what this is.
So why have a third line there at all?
Because it gave the option.
Why do they need that option?
Because Michael wanted to have the option. That's why he purposely did it. This was a carefully drafted contract with a rock-solid arbitration
But why did he
clause.
want to have that option? I just don't, from a legal standpoint, I don't understand why.
Because when you're in the middle of all this, you want to have the option. He wanted to give himself the option. He chose not to exercise the option.
Trump wanted to give himself the option?
Michael Cohen wanted to give himself the option as the agent of ECLLC.
And what do you make of this letter that Michael Cohen
sent
saying this was a dispute between President Trump and Stormy Daniels?
It's a February letter, and guess what? This is see, he doesn't like to include the timelines. It's after.
He did, but he pointed out.
Yeah, but it's after he sued Donald Trump. So now he brought Donald Trump into the action.
That's not true.
In fact,
Okay.
that's the whole
Let
point.
him finish
In fact, that's the whole point behind all this.
All right.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you have to ask yourself, what is the end game
All right,
here?
so let's
It's not
do Michael.
about money, right?
All right,
Okay, Mike.
all right. First of all, the email is dated February 22nd of this year. You showed it earlier on the screen, okay? We didn't file our case until March. So that, much like many of your statements, is just fabricated. It's patently false. That's why you and Michael Cohen are friends, I guess, because you both are really good at fabricating
How about
things.
you
I'm not done.
fabricate it? How about
I'm not
you
done.
lie detector test?
You talked for a long time.
No,
Let him
I'm not.
talk.
I'm
How
not
about his lie
done.
detector test?
I'm not done.
Why wasn't that on the segment?
Let him finish.
All right, I'm not done. Let's talk.
What about it?
Let's talk a moment about Michael Cohen. Okay, Megyn Kelly, not exactly a left-wing liberal in journalistic circles, tweeted last night a portion of an article that appeared in the Daily Beast not long ago, quoting a reporter about the threats that Michael Cohen had made to this reporter. I can't state it on cable television. They're so bad. Okay,
Right,
you
it was
can
about
go.
basically destroying this person's life and livelihood.
Correct. I'm not
But is that
done. I'm not
report Stormy
done. I'm not
Daniels?
done.
Is that
I'm not
is that
done.
what we're
I'm
talking
not
about,
done.
Stormy
I'm not done.
Daniels?
Let's talk
My
about the
client has
kind of
never
man.
spoken to Stormy
He didn't
Daniels.
interrupt you when you were
But he
speaking.
keeps sidetracking.
Well, that's what he's allowed. He's allowed to speak. And
Correct.
you're allowed to speak.
Right, right. Let's talk about Michael Cohen, what kind of man this is. This is the kind of guy who claimed in connection with that story that there's no such thing as spousal rape. This is a legal genius.
Right.
Completely false. The guy doesn't even know the law. He's a thug.
Right.
Your friend is a thug.
Well, thank
Is
you.
a thug.
That's $1 million.
No, that's
$1 million.
Thug.
$1 million.
Thug.
You know what?
Thug.
You're a thug.
Thug.
Anyone who would come on here.
Wait a second.
Anyone, you see, anyone.
Thug.
By the way,
He's a thug.
By
And
the
if he
way,
was
you
here, I'd tell him
doctored,
to
you
his
doctored your lie detector test.
so-
Okay, no galvanic skin response. No, I gotta say this.
nonsense.
No galvanic
Thug.
skin response.
Thug.
No armband. By the way, the photos doctored. Why was the lie detector test, Anderson, not part of the 60 Minutes piece? Because this thug doctored it.
Can I ask a question? Just let me ask you a question about one of the broader points in this case, which is Michael Cohen's claim that he paid out of his own money, out of his home equity line, the money in this case. Have you ever heard of a lawyer paying a judgment or a settlement on behalf of a client out of his own money?
No, but this is not a normal attorney-client relationship. This is much more than an attorney-client relationship. So first of all, there's nothing illegal about it.
I understand. I never said there's anything illegal
about it. If you understand the relationship here, you would understand that it would be completely reasonable for Michael Cohen to pay that.
Let me be reasonable. Donald Trump is, according to him, a billionaire. Michael Cohen has to go into a home equity line to pay $130,000. That sounds reasonable to you?
Under the circumstances, under the set of circumstances that they're involved in, it's completely reasonable.
And
but I still haven't gotten an answer to the lie detector test.
You're saying it had
that
nothing.
he made such a big deal.
You're saying it had absolutely nothing to do with the campaign. That it was just a coincidence that this was in what 11 days.
This is when the settlement
election?
took place. The law is pretty clear on this. Okay, if the bottom line is if it's for reputation, business, family, to protect those things.
Right.
Then,
but that could have been done in
in
2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. I mean, it could have been done in all those
but
years.
This is when legal blackmail took place.
What's
this is legal extortion. It's legal extortion when somebody comes to a CEO or a famous person, they try to extract money from them. This is when it all takes place. So we call it hush money here, right?
So you're saying Stormy Daniels was trying to extort money from Michael Cohen?
Of course, that's what you do from a 12-year when you had sex.
So who had
She's claiming she had sex 12 years ago.
Who had contact with Michael Cohen from Stormy Daniels' camp that they're trying to extort money?
But it happens every day in America.
No, I'm asking in this specific case. Right. You're saying Stormy Daniels or her team were trying to extort money from Donald Trump.
I believe it's a legal form. It's a legal form of extortion when you use a lawyer to try to extract it. And she talked about it yesterday
but who was trying
on TV. And by the way, she said the contract was solid, rock solid. But
right,
that's
what you're saying? Keith Davidson contacted Michael Cohen to extort money?
She admitted it. I mean, it's a legal form of extortion.
So she was saying that people were coming to her with money.
And then she got the best deal that she could possibly get from Michael Cohen.
Right.
So, but it's a form of extracting as much money as possible.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Right. I want to step back for a moment. If you believe him and his close friend Michael Cohen,
my client, yeah, and he is a friend.
Your client. Okay. If the American people want to believe them, they have to conclude as follows, Anderson. Michael Cohen got a call from a woman who was completely unbelievable, had no credibility. This woman claimed that she had an affair with Donald Trump a couple weeks before the end of the campaign. They didn't believe her. They thought she was completely full of it. It was all BS. And in response to that, instead of behaving the way that he behaves tonight here, instead of behaving the way that Michael Cohen has behaved in the past, they just rolled over and paid her $130,000 for no reason, even though they thought the entire thing was bullshit.
Unfortunately,
now, wait a minute. I'm not done. I'm not done. If that's true,
it's actually a cheap price.
That's true, I would encourage every American tomorrow morning to call Mr. Schwartz in his office, Mr. Cohen, claim you had an affair with the president. Right. They will promptly send you a check for $130,000. No questions asked.
To avoid litigation.
It's absurd.
Let me respond.
You're right. I agree with you. It is absurd, but it happens every single day in America. And by the way, if you think 90% of the people really care about what your client said yesterday, you have to be completely out of your mind.
So let me ask you. Because Mr. Trump has never been reticent in going after the veracity of statements by women who have accused him of inappropriate sexual behavior. I mean, he did this time and time again for the more than a dozen or so women who have come forward, and yet he did not do that at all in terms of Stormy Daniels. In fact, and her story, along with the story of Karen McDougal, who was paid out by, who had a contract with AMI, which is the parent company for National Enquirer, their stories do have some commonalities. I mean, statements that were allegedly made by Mr. Trump to both of them about them being special, about them being like reminding him of her daughter, allegedly going to his bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Does it concern you that there are some commonalities in their stories?
Not at all, because I'm here to talk about a contract. I wasn't there Jeff wasn't there, Michael wasn't there, you weren't there.
Right.
She says it happens, he says it doesn't happen. I don't think anyone really cares one way or the other of what happened 12 years ago. I don't think anyone cares. But I am here to talk about a contract, and I am here to talk about a fabricated lie detector test that you completely, that no galvanic skin response. You know, I work with a polygraph expert for 3 decades. He's been a polygraph expert for 3 decades. No galvanic skin response, no blood pressure. The questions were all wrong.
Do you know the person who administered this lie detector?
I have no
test?
idea.
So
but
you don't know anything about the record of this person?
$25,000.
Knows nothing about
He
it.
paid $25,000. I know.
Right.
I looked at a picture. By the way, thank you for supplying that picture.
Well,
that
that's not the last
fabricated
one.
picture.
That's not the last picture.
Oh yeah.
Buckle up.
Where is it?
Buckle up.
Where is it? Where's the
Anderson.
CD? I should buckle up.
Buckle up.
Believe me, I have nothing to buckle up to.
Buckle up. You'll need a big one. But
Oh
buckle
yeah.
up.
Oh yeah.
All right, now
it's more of
Anderson.
your illusion.
Okay, let me
Anderson.
respond.
Right.
To quote the late Hal Heflin, Democratic senator from the great state of Alabama, he said, when the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. When the law is on your side, you argue the law. When you have neither the law nor the facts, you pound the table. That's what's going on right here.
Well, you could do
every time. We're pound the table. Boisterous.
Let's
is
talk
louder than you talk.
Let's talk
it
the
doesn't.
law.
Well, I'm waiting for you to come into the case. When are you going to get off the sidelines? Get off the sidelines and get in the case.
I don't
get off
practice
the
in California.
sidelines.
I have a case.
Hey, you know what?
Right.
We'll
I have
block
a case,
you.
but we'll talk about
Get
it.
off the sidelines.
But the law is against you, and you're a very good lawyer. I'm not taking anything away from you.
Well,
You've made lemonade out of a complete lemon, and I give you a lot of credit for that.
All right.
But it's not going to last.
We got much more to talk about. We're going to expand out.